Next, further doubts over the next round of Syria peace talks. This is the United Nations said no date has been set, contradicting Russia's claim that they'll resume on May the 10th. UN Special Envoy Staffan de Mistura struggling to keep the process alive after opposition negotiators left last week's meeting. For more, I'm joined by Mabon, who's a Middle East specialist at Lancaster University in the United Kingdom. Thanks very much for joining us. The process already running into trouble. That's perhaps not much of a surprise, is it?
I don't think it's a surprise at all. This is a process that's been plagued by indecision, by a range of different agendas. And I think that the latest troubles to hit these talks are hardly surprising, given the number of different people involved, given the number of different agendas involved, and given the stakes that are at play here. It's hardly surprising that there is so much trouble trying to get this issue resolved.
Tell us a little bit more about the demands that the opposition are making and if they can ever be met.
Well, I think they can be met. I mean, the main demand, of course, is an end to the fighting and immediately for that to take place on the ground so that there's a real tangible difference with this ceasefire. So the opposition groups can see that Assad's forces will stop killing people on the ground. Now, that's the immediate goal. And then, of course, the goal is to move to a post-Assad Syria. And that's where things get really quite murky. So there is a ceasefire in place, but it's a ceasefire that's in place only against certain opposition groups. Now, the Assad regime has been framing that as an opportunity to target a range of other actors, and that's been supported by Russia. And this is obviously making the situation on the ground quite messy, quite murky. Now, moving beyond that, trying to get to a Syria free of Assad is even trickier because that is going to involve untangling Russia from Assad and this long alliance between the two, which is really quite a sticking point for much of this diplomatic process. So I think it's a really difficult thing to do.
The reality is, however, that since Russia's intervention, both Assad and Moscow have been on the front foot, really. Is this a case, as far as they're concerned, of waiting for the opposition to give in because they feel they can afford to do so?
Well, I'm not sure it's going to be a case of the opposition giving in. After all, this is an opposition that are fighting an existential conflict. They're fighting for their own survival. They're fighting for their families' lives. They're fighting for their very survival within their home country. So I'm not sure it's going to be a case of them just giving in. I think what is required is a diplomatic solution, a creative diplomatic solution geared and pushed through by the UN, and a solution that involves bringing the US and Russia to the table in some kind of creative solution to get Assad to step down.
Mabon, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Thank you.